Hey guys, Chris here. You join me here in my hotel room here in Tønsberg on the road for work. And in today's video, we're going to do something very interesting. We're going to compare two cars that I didn't think, were that similar actually. I didn't actually think about comparing them at all. But in my last video, 6 reasons you should buy the Volvo V60. I got a very interesting question from a subscriber in the comment section. If you haven't seen that video, please check it out up there in the right corner. But Indy Kalia asks this question: V60 or XC40 or V60 cross country? So we're gonna leave the V60 cross country out because we don't know any pricing yet. So we're gonna do the V60 XC40 because it seems actually that those two cars are very similarly priced. So we're gonna do the US pricing and the UK pricing. So the XC40 Momentum T4 front-wheel drive starts at $33,700, and we don't know the pricing of the V60 yet, but we have the S60 Momentum T5 front-wheel drive pricing, which is $35,800. It's $2,100 more. But if you go look at the XC40 T5 all-wheel drive, it starts at $35,700. So it's $100 cheaper than the S60, though with all-wheel drive in the XC40. All these are Momentum trim levels. So what will the V60 cost? Above the S60, $1,000, $2,000. Not quite sure, but it's not. Doesn't seem to be that huge of a difference actually pricing. So the total price might come out to about $3,000, which is very interesting. So if we look at the UK pricing, an XC40 Momentum D3 front-wheel drive manual cost £29,010, and the V60 Momentum D3 front-wheel drive manual, so apples to apples comparison here, it starts at £31,810. So that's a price difference of £2,810. So 3,000 price difference in dollars in the US doesn't seem to be very unrealistic. I think that will seem to be very accurate. So not a very big price difference. So let's take a look at the specs of the cars. So the XC40, and this is again the D3 manual trim. So we have apples to apples comparison here. Comes in at 1,674 kilos, while the V60 comes in at 1,600 kilos. I'll do, all the US conversions to pounds and inches and stuff like that on the screen. So not a big weight difference. I didn't find any performance numbers on both cars, but I think 0 to 60 will be just around the same. I think the V60 will just edge it out because it's a bit lighter. Trunk capacity, the XC60 has 460 liters, while the V60 has 529 liters. So the V60 has quite a bit of a bigger trunk. Lengthwise, the XC40 is, a subcompact luxury SUV, while the V60 is a compact luxury station wagon. These are, the US classes of cars. Europe, these come in a different category. That means the XC60 is only 4.4 meters long, 4,425 millimeters to be exact, while the V60 is 4,769 liters, so it's about this much shorter, which is actually a bit. The width of both cars are almost the same, the XC40 at 1,910 millimeters wide, and the V60 at 1,916 millimeters wide. This is where it gets very interesting because shoulder room in front is 1,440 millimeters in the XC40 and 1,425 millimeters in the V60. So the XC40 actually has a bit more interior shoulder room in the front seats, which is very interesting. Front leg room is 1,040 millimeters in the XC40 and 1,074 millimeters in the V60, so about 3 centimeters more in the V60. But this is where it gets interesting because rear legroom is 1,900 no, 1917 millimeters in the XC40 and 895 millimeters in the V60. So the XC40 actually has a bit more legroom than the V60, which is actually very surprising. So what is the total legroom if you combine front and rear? That wasn't on the Volvo side, but I have combined it. So the XC40 has a total total legroom of 1957 millimeters, and the V60 at 1969 millimeters. That's 1 centimeter difference. That's about that. So very closely comparable, and that's actually quite surprising. So the interior cabin seems to be just about similar in the XC40 and the V60, while the V60 has a bit larger trunk. So what are the pros of getting an XC40? So I've done extensive testing on both cars. I've had 2 XC40 press cars, both the gas engine and the diesel, T5 and D4, and I've had 2 V60 press cars, gas engine and diesel. They're also T6 gas engine with all-wheel drive and the D4 diesel. Check out my channel for videos. Those two combined, probably 30 videos if I'm not mistaken, or more than that. A lot of videos. If you guys want to, go into more detail, please check out the channel. So the pros, in my opinion, with the XC40 compared to the V60 is that you sit higher. It's an SUV, so you sit higher, you sit more upright. That also brings more ground clearance. So if you need more ground clearance, well, that is just a huge positive there. It's also cheaper than the V60 with all-wheel drive. As we said, comparing, in the US, the T5 all-wheel drive XC40 is $100 than the T5 front-wheel drive VS60. The XC40 has a much more comfortable suspension setup. So I've driven the car on 19s and 20s, and it's much more comfortable than the V60 on 19s, even if you get the V60 with the adaptive dampers, the 4C chassis control, and that's the XC40 on standard steel springs. I think the XC40 is now available with adaptive dampers and might be even more comfortable. So the suspension setup is more comfortable cruising in the XC40. It has a smaller footprint, so it's about the same width, but it's much shorter. And then you also sit higher up. You have bigger windows, a bigger greenhouse. So for city driving, it's much better. You get a smaller trunk, but you get almost the same interior passenger space, and a smaller footprint is a huge pro. And last pro, this is very subjective, but I think it looks cooler and more unique than the V60. Pros with the V60, it has a quieter ride, a quieter cabin. You can get the V60 with laminated double pane windows, front, rear, and all the way back, meaning it has a much better sound insulation. So if you do a lot of motorway miles, that will be a huge selling point for you. It has a more luxurious interior. So the XC40 has a nice and cool interior, but it can't compare to the V60's interior, which is just best in class, though I think the XC40 might also have the best in class interior. But the V60 is just like 2 steps above. It's so nice and so beautiful. The V60 comes standard with better seats, but you can also opt for the comfort seats, which gives you ventilation, massaging, and electrically adjustable in just about any fashion. You don't get those seats. You get different seats in the XC40, and I don't think you can even opt massage function. I don't think any of the cars that I have driven have had that. The V60 has a larger trunk. So if you want the car with the largest trunk, the V60. And lastly, the last pro of the V60 that I can think about is it has more tech and more options available. So you can get something like the Bowers & Wilkins premium sound system, which you can't get in the XC40. The Harman Kardon sound system is very good in the XC40, but the Bowers & Wilkins in the V60 just blows everything out of the water. The seats I mentioned, the comfort seats, which have massage, which are cooled, and electrically adjustable side bolsters and thigh support, stuff like that. You can't get that in the XC40. Also the laminated double pane window. So there are a few things that you can't get in the XC40 that you can get in the V60. So lastly, what car would I choose? Well, it depends on my use. For my use, I do a lot of driving, winter and summer, and I do a lot of motorway driving. And I think the V60 has just a bit more nicer interior, and it's just a bit more better sound insulated. So I think I would actually go for the V60 if it was my money. But if I lived in the city and I didn't, drive at that much at high speeds, I wouldn't mind the road noise of the XC40, and having a smaller footprint, sitting higher up in the city. Well, is a better solution in my opinion. So guys, let me know which car you would choose, and have you cross-shopped these cars, and have you ever thought about cross-shopping? So let me know in the comments down below, and if you like this video, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.